Okay, let's go over problem set 80. I'm going to go over it fairly quickly. I'm basically going to give you the setup and see if you can figure it out from there. The answer key is over there on the shelf, so you can always check your answers. Okay, number one, how many ways can 5 boys sit in a row if Thomas needs to sit in the middle? That one you can just do by 5 boxes. This is conditional. Thomas has to sit in the middle. So you put the other 4 there and multiply it out. Shay and Cassidy stopped for lunch after they traveled H hours at M miles an hour. Well, distance equals rate times time. So using the variables, figure out how far they went before lunch and subtract it from 300. Okay, Dinah's in a quandary, and number 4, the pressure required, those would be ratio problems. You would say for number 3, 1/2 cup of white sugar is to 3/4 cup of white sugar, as X is to 1 cup of brown sugar, because 1 cup is equivalent to the 3/4 cup. So you would say she has a 1/2 cup, the recipe calls for 3/4 of the cup. How much brown sugar does she need to use if 1 will take the place of that? On number 4, do the pressure the same way. 2 hours fills 4/5 of the pool, so X hours equals how much of the pool is left? 3/7. Okay? Number 5, that's this equation, if you remember it. Solve for the rate. Put in the time, the workers, and the jobs, solve for the rate. Then plug in the rate with the new workers and jobs and solve for the time. Okay. Number 6, sum of the digits of a 3-digit counting number. Well, if you remember, a 3-digit counting number is 100H plus 10T plus U. Okay? So sum of the digits would be H plus T plus U equals 17. The tens digit was 5 less than the hundreds. So the tens digit was 5 less than the hundreds. And twice the units digit exceeded 4 times the tens digit by 8. You have 3 equations, 3 variables. You could either solve it with substitution and elimination, or you can use your matrix. 7, 8, and 9 involve replacing things and simplifying. If you look at 7, secant squared minus tangent squared, I told you what could that be? That would be 1. And 1 plus cotangent squared equals the cosecant squared. What's 1 over the cosecant squared? Sine squared. So just work those out and see if you can figure them out yourself. For number 8, the key is to get common denominators, make that into 1 fraction, and then simplify. Number 9 again, get common denominators. Change everything to sines and cosines and simplify. Okay? Number 10, 2 cis 30 to the 6th power. 2 cis 300 to the 6th power. The way you do these, that means cosine I sine. That's another way of writing something like this. This would be another way of writing that, okay? But this is telling you it's 2 to the 6th power cis 300 times 6. And figure out what 2 to the 6th power is. Then you do 300 times 6, and then keep subtracting 360 until you get an angle below 360 degrees. And that would be your answer in polar form. Number 11, find the 3 cube roots of 27 cis 36. Okay? 27 cis 36 degrees. Okay? Remember, we raised this to a power when we were multiplying. So to get a cube root, you get the cube root of 27, which is 3. And we multiplied by 6. So we divide by 3 to get the cube root. So our first answer is 3 cis 12. Then to get the other answers, all you have to do is take 360 degrees and divide it by 3 and add 120. So you can always just do this when you're doing these problems. And then you have 132, 252. Okay, and that's leaving it in polar form. Okay, find the 4 fourth roots of negative 16 and express them in rectangular form. Okay, negative 16, if I were to draw it on here, it's not 16i, which would go on the y-axis. It's just negative 16, which means it's over here. So if you look at that, that would be an angle with the coordinates 16, cis, 180, because this is 0, 90, 180, 270. Okay? So that's your beginning. Now we do the 4 fourth roots like we did over here. So 4th root of 16 is 2. Okay? That won't change, so you can just do this. Get partial credit here. And then you divide this by 4. 180 divided by 4 is 45. Okay? Then divide 360 by 4, because what you're actually doing is taking another rotation, then dividing by 4, taking another rotation, then dividing by 4, and taking another rotation and dividing by 4. I'm just doing it simply like this. So this is 90, so I just add, so 135, 225, and 315. Now, it wants it in rectangular coordinates. So you would say 2 times the cosine of 45. Make sure you have your sines, cosines, and tangents of 30, 60, and 45 completely memorized. You aren't going to be able to use cards. So 2 times root of 2 over 2 plus 2 times root of 2 over 2i. So your answer is going to be root of 2 plus root of 2i. That's that rectangular coordinate. Then you just do the rest. You know the only difference between any of these, because they're all 45 degrees, is the sign. So over here, all sine, cosine, tangent are all positive. Over here, only the sine is positive. Over here, only the tangent is positive, and only here, only the cosine is positive. So if it's in this quadrant, your cosine is going to be positive, but your sine is going to be negative. So the only thing that's going to be different about these answers is their signs. So just be careful about that. I'm going to stop this before I make a mistake and do the rest on a separate video.